In this video lesson, I'd like to go through the drill or the hole operation. As you look at the part here, I have a series of similar holes, and then I've got two counterbore holes. Let's go ahead and hop into CAM and do our typical setup. Okay, great. We know that as soon as we come into this drill operation, the first thing that it's probably going to ask us is what tool we want to use. So before I even go in there, let's figure that out. So I'm going to go and inspect, and I'm going to click on this hole here. So it tells me that it's 0.25 in diameter. Well, that's fine. Are they all the same? Well, let's just randomly pick another one. So that one's 0.25 in diameter too. So for right this second, we're going to expect that they're all the same. What else do we have? We have a counterbore diameter of 5/8, and then I have a counterbore hole diameter of 3/8. So now I've got a decision to make. Do I want to do the entire thing with one tool, which I can, or do I want to do tool changes? Unfortunately, right now I don't have an automatic tool changer or an ATC on my machine. So that means tool changes are a little bit more time consuming. And regardless of even whether I have an ATC or not, it's going to add cycle time to change tools. So you have to make a decision on whether you're going to do tool changes or not, and whether that's actually going to save you time. I think I can get the entire thing done with just the 1/4" tool. So these aren't holes anymore. These are now going to be pockets. We'll deal with those here in a minute. All right, let's grab the holes first. So drill. I'm going to choose my 1/4" flat. I'm going to go ahead and come to my geometry tab, and it was an illusion. The first time when it said hole faces, I thought I was supposed to rotate the part and actually look down in it and pick the bottom of it. You don't. You just pick the body. And here in a minute, you're going to find out it actually doesn't matter which one you pick. So I'm going to pick that one. Now, I only checked this one and this one to see if they were the same diameter. I'm going to let the software go ahead and do the rest of them for me. So when I say select same diameter, if there's anything else in the part that has that same diameter, it'll auto-pick them. I also leave it on optimized order, and you can now see that it has figured out the best path of doing each one of those holes. So that's why I said it didn't matter which one of the holes you picked to begin with. Now, I don't know why mine is doing this, but in my drill operation, I'm losing some of my speeds and feeds. So anytime they're orange, I'm just going to right-click in it, and I'm going to say reset to built-in default. And it will put that back to what it was supposed to. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with the tool. I may need to remake this in my library, but for some reason that one at least goes away. Okay, what else do we have? Depths or my heights tab. I really like this one because it uses hole top and hole bottom. I don't have to worry about model top, stock top, or any of those things, so I really like that part. And then the last one is cycle, is all the different options that you have. The drilling wrap it out, I really only do for things that are soft material. The one that I like the most is my chip breaking with partial retract. So I want to go ahead and describe. There are a whole bunch of different boxes here just to give you an idea what some of them do. This one is the pecking depth. So it's actually going to go down 1/16 of an inch, and then it's going to come back up to actually chip break. The chip is actually the coil that's being created, or that chip that you're actually carving into the material. So how much does it lift? It lifts up by the chip break distance. So it's only lifting up just a little over a sheet of paper. Where did these numbers come from? Well, they're all a formula. If I right click and I look at them, they're all something a little bit different, but this is the tool diameter times 0.25. So 25% of the tool's diameter is what my pecking depth is currently. So most of the time I'm going to leave these alone. So what else do we have? So we've got the pecking depth, we've got the minimum pecking depth, then we have this accumulated. This is really the only one that you're going to see. This accumulated pecking depth says that once the 16th has gone down, 10 times? Once it's gone down 10 times, it's going to cause a full retraction, and it's going to pull all the way out of the material. So once I've gone down 16th, up 5 thousandths, down 16th, up 5 thousandths. Once I've gone down an accumulated depth of 5/8 of an inch, then you'll see the tool come all the way out of the part. And the unfortunate part is this all happens so fast that this is really the only one you're ever going to see. So I'm going to leave all of these things alone, and we'll just see how they do. Great, so that's my pecking drill operation. So rather than drilling all the way into the material and then coming all the way back out, it does a peck depth instead. If any of those numbers need to be altered or changed, then you can do that. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and go to our 2D pocket. We're not going to do the 2D adaptive because these are too small. 2D adaptive really wants a large area where it can work in HSM or high-speed machining. So we're going to click our 2D pocket. And now we've got the exact same problem we had when we did our multiple pockets. I'm not going to pick this blue face for the fact that it doesn't actually go all the way in. So we're going to pick our top profiles instead. I'll come to my Heights tab and we'll change our bottom height from Selected Contours to Selection. Anything else? Yes, we need to do our 50%, because this is a traditional, so 50% step over and 50% step down, or depth of cut. So I'm going to edit the expression, and I only want 50% for step over and then 50% for step down. Now, if you just want to go ahead and put that in there, you can. I've already measured it for you. So I know from the top red surface to the blue surface, I have 1/8 of an inch. And we're using a 1/4 inch tool, so I know right now that I can do this in one shot. Or you could just go ahead and say you can only do a maximum depth of 0.125, and if it was over that, then it would go ahead and do something different. But I don't need that. Stock to leave right now, I'm not going to do any stock to leave. I'll then come to my linking tab. We'll go ahead and put this in, even though it's not going to do any of them, and we'll go ahead and change our ramping degree to the 6 degree that we've been using. Okay, let's make sure the tool, I do have it here too, so something about this 1/4 inch tool, I've got some of these speed rates and feed rates that aren't calculating out right. So I'm just going to right click and reset them to default. I think it's something just with my 1/4 inch tool. Okay, great, so I see my helix that comes in, and then it should finish everything of this blue down to the blue surface. Again, not because of the blue surface. All right, so now we're going to do another pocket. So 2D pocket, I'm going to rotate the part. I'm going to go ahead and pick my 2 pockets. Depth, I don't need it to start at the stock top. It's okay that it starts at the end of the blue. Then we still need our maximum step over of 50%. This time we're going to do multiple depths, so a maximum rubbing depth of 0.125. That's 50% of the tool's diameter. And then stock to leave, right this second we're going to take that off. Anything to do here? Yes, we'll do a small micro lift. And we'll put on our 6 degrees. Okay, great. So it's going to take care of my series of holes. It's going to take care of the top parts of the counterbore. Then it's going to take care of the blind hole for the counterbore. Now, if I'm worried about the outside of these holes not being smooth, I could go ahead and come into this last 2D pocket. I could go ahead and say stock to leave on the walls. So nothing on the floor, only on the walls. And then I could come in here with a 2D contour just to go ahead and clean up those bottoms. Everything looks good. So I've got a drill chip break. I've got a pocket to take care of the top. I've got a pocket to take care of the holes, and then I've got a 2D contour that just comes in and cleans up the walls of those at full depth. So I won't have all those little marks all the way down the walls as it did its helix. That's really it for the hole tool. So even though some things look like holes, they may end up actually being considered pockets. So I've got the option to drill them, or I've got the option to try to pocket them. Great, there you go.